Today, I want to share with you one of the most important lessons that I am still integrating when we work with sacred plant medicines like ayahuasca, breathwork, or any type of medicine practice where we connect to the divine light inside of us, the divine light above us, within us, around us, that is so strong, that is so profound that it can become difficult for us to integrate it, difficult for us to hold it and make sense of it. You probably met a lot of those on the medicine path that speak about these great visions that they've seen, but they're not able to bring the stars and those visions down to earth. Or participants that have had deep spiritual awakenings, but then they wake up on Monday and they feel asleep. There is such a gap between the spiritual insight and how they felt in that vision and how they feel in their day-to-day life. Today, I want to bring the lens of Kabbalah into explaining why we might struggle and why it also might be dangerous chasing more light, more medicine, without doing integration and learning to hold the light and embodying the insight. Kabbalah has a very interesting way of speaking about the universe. I almost feel Kabbalah is like a religion or spiritual integration. In this presentation, you will understand why. Because in Kabbalah, they talk about the Tikkun, which means repair, restoration, deification. And at the very core of it, Tikkun is like our great teachers. It's in shamanism when we think of soul fragmentation, where a part of our soul split off, and we're using shamanism and that journey to bring these soul fragments back into wholeness, back into integrating into our being. At the core, the Tikkun is the same process. It's about reintegrating divine light that has been scattered and broken. And their entire belief system is built around the infinite light that eventually got poured into 10 vessels that broke and shattered. And we live into this world where we're then trying to fix or reintegrate these vessels. So these vessels, there are 10 of them. And the teachers that are within this ideology is called the Tikkun. So to gather the lost sparks, we want to restore unity where there is fragmentation, which is what we do in integration. And there are two different forms of Tikkun. There's the Tikkun of repairing the soul and the Tikkun of repairing the world. And we, in our work and in our world, we are actually the bridge between these two Tikkun. So I thought it would be interesting for you to understand a little bit about Kabbalah and these 10 vessels that they define. It's like the chakra system, but from Kabbalah. And I find it interesting and also really important for us to at least have some awareness around them. So we're going to start with the cosmic shock. So in Kabbalah, they talk about the primordial light. So it's before existence, there was the primordial light, nothingness, and it was so intense. And when it got put into these vessels, it shattered these vessels. And this collapse is what we are living within and also reintegrating. So there are some modern parallels, because in every spiritual peak, no matter if it's ayahuasca and DMT or romantic ecstasy or creative downloads, without proper integration and grounding, some of these experiences can be very overwhelming for us, and they can even fragment the human system and repeat this cosmic short circuit where we are creating more fragmentations. So integration, and the goal of sacred integration, is to build the vessel that we're cultivating our conscious with. It's to build it so strong that it can hold the light that is pouring into us, or hold the light that is already within us and not leak out or fragment. So that means grounding the spiritual insights in our daily life and ensuring that each revelation is supported by a solid foundation and is actually integrated. So we're not just like pouring lots of light in and then it's just leaking out and then we have to run over to the light source. This is how we can get addicted to the cycle of running to retreats or trying other medicines. And if you pour a lot of light into your system and you're not able to hold it, what happens? It's like infinite watts coming through your system, and it's like a plastic wire and it starts melting. So, for example, ayahuasca within the Kabbalah tradition, they would say that it opens the channel to the upper light, the unfiltered, undiluted light. And you probably felt that way yourself if you have worked with ayahuasca or mushroom, that we can connect to very pure light that starts flushing through our system and starts to vibrate on such a high level that the part of us that is not able to vibrate at that level starts moving. Maybe we vomit it out, or we go into a process where we start releasing it and alchemizing it. And this can be really overwhelming. And this is where in Kabbalah, we see a glimpse of this world of emanation where separation completely dissolves. But this is where Kabbalah has a warning for us that are doing this work. We're not meant to live in that world as we are human, in the world of emanation, but there's no separation. We are supposed to draw that light down into our system and into the world of Messiah, the world of action. And most clients that I meet that struggle in their integration have seen that great light, have seen the great vision, have downloaded these amazing things that they want to bring into their life, but then there is no action. So it's just sitting here and it's just becoming bigger and bigger, the vision sometimes, but they're not able to bring it into action. They're not able to manifest it. So if we bypass the world of action, we can see almost the action as an altar here that brings the divine into our world. Then you will see it in the finances, relationships, body, time, and service. You create a short circuit. You're bringing infinite current into plastic wire and it melts. And then we usually get some crash signals, right? We have all met those who are addicted to the light. Makes sense. Beautiful to receive light. But without the vessel work, light can become like a drug. We keep returning to the ceremony. We keep returning to other plant medicines. And we keep returning to another romance because we are looking for another peak. We're looking for another revelation. We're looking for another vision that is bigger than the vision before. We're looking for a bigger healing that can cure all the things that is going on within us. And then we have the inflation of consciousness that we all have experienced. Someone start identifying with what they have seen, maybe a past lifetime, and not really with what they're embodying and how they're showing up in their everyday life. They start confusing contact with the light with their own transformation. Maybe they're inflating also their own ego. They're becoming suddenly a shaman. They feel, I remember at one space that I was, a space that I was at Yoga Barn in Bali, someone was in front of me and they said, oh, these people have such a low vibration. And this is, for me, it's an inflation of consciousness where we also feel that we are better than everyone else. And it can be a collapse of the lower worlds. Because if the world of action within you is in disorder, we might have disorganized money and dirty kitchen sink, which I'm actually looking over now, which is pretty dirty. We might have poor boundaries. We might not have any space for our service. We're thinking a lot about how we're going to be of service, but we actually don't show up anywhere. There's no evidence that our service existed. And there's no time mastery. There's no commitment. We can't really hold the container that asks for us to show up weekly because we're not even able to hold that container for ourselves. And this creates so much cognitive dissonance and also sometimes spiritual arrogance, because then we start dissociating from the truth and we start creating other stories on why this is happening. It can also create retraumatization, fragmentation, because if we touch a lot of light without an internal structure, without the psyche that can hold this, then we can actually start fragmenting even further. And this can create anxiety and depression and spiritual bypassing because we are literally not building the main container that is able to hold all of this. And we're shattering it more and more. And then maybe we think if I do some stronger medicine, then I will fix it. And then we keep shattering it. This is where we need to be a little bit aware as facilitators that if we see any of these pox, we need to stop. No medicine. I've said this to one of my colleagues many times. I really think you should take a break. And sometimes they can't stop because they are so in this movement of keeping and drinking medicine that they're not able to stop. So they are constantly fragmenting and shattering the vessel a little bit more and more, and they're not able to bring themselves into structure and into action. So what is integration, for example? If we use Kabbalah as a religion of integration. And obviously, if anyone was a rabbi and they would see my presentation, would be like, this is not what we meant with Kabbalah. This is just my interpretation of it, and I find it interesting. So please have that as a sort of background note for all of this. But the rabbis, they will call about the Tikkun, which is the reciprocation of the shadow vessel. So each time when you receive this light, meditation, breathwork, ayahuasca, you're obligated to draw that light into the structure, bind it into action, anchor it into time, and translate it into service. That's how you bring that energy, that light, into the manifested reality where you are embodying, integrating, and embodying it. You're not supposed to sit with it just here or in the journal or talk about it without taking any action on those words. That creates a very dangerous loop. And you're also replaying this cosmic collapse over and over again, but internally. But then remember, you didn't start this original cosmic collapse. It was created by the Great Spirit, and for a reason, for there is a divine structure to the collapse, for light to shatter these vessels so these vessels can expand and bring themselves together. That's what we're all doing. We just have to be mindful that if we receive a lot of light and there's no structure, it can be cosmic irresponsibility, because ayahuasca truly can open up the heavens gates and give us access to all the light and the secrets and the truths of the universe. But integration is like the priestly work of rebuilding the temple or reinforcing the temple so that the light has somewhere it can dwell, so that it's not just leaking out of the vessel. Otherwise, it's almost like we're watching the divine through shattered glass. I want to guide you to the 10 vessels tour, and I have a little translator here to remember to say these vessels correctly. Keter, which is the crown, it's a little bit like the crown chakra, but actually above our being. This is where the highest form of intention and potential lives. So we can think of it as the eternal why, or the deeper why behind our own existence. And when we're aligned with that, it's like everything flows in the universe and we're on this wave, just surfing with the universe. And it represents the superconscious will, the hidden root of all emanation, the nothingness where we all come from. Keter is like the silent source of divine will. So it's the point before even a thought is manifested. It holds my and yours original intention for being here, like why we came into this lifetime. So when this is in line, all choices feel like a natural extension. It just flows of a larger current that moves through you. So it isn't egoic control. It's just like a participation where you're flowing with the living intelligence that precedes all of us. And it's often associated with divine potential, source of light before any form. And every single person in our classroom have touched this in a very deep level. And if we think of this as the why behind all of our doing, so it's not strategy or personality or ego, it's just the deeper purpose, deeper ground of where sort of our soul makes contact into this manifested reincarnation. And when this vessel is intact, then you're operating from inner alignment. Everything is flowing. Decisions and energy flow, and it's not just coming from the mind. But if it's missing, you're going to feel very fragmented, like you chase external motives or validation or the next thing, and you don't have an anchor. And if this vessel is like flooded, so imagine like we put too much light in it, we drink so much ayahuasca, or we take so much medicine that there's nowhere for the light to be held. So one little drop can spill the whole cup. What happens then? Then we might have, feel very overwhelmed, dissociated. We might have spiritual inflation where we're thinking I'm carrying this special mission, but it's so big that I can't even take the first step. And I'm such of service that I can't even show up and be of service. So we lose like that grounded humility that's so important for our work. So if we want to work with this vessel, we need to practice silence, creating a lot of spaciousness for this cup to be able to hold that light and not try to harness anything, not try to get anything. It's literally like a cup of receiving what has already been there all the time. And you probably will see when you go through these vessels that there are certain vessels where you need to do some work. That's the aha moment that I saw when I was doing this. So I hope that you will have some of those aha moments as well, and feel free to share them with me in the comments. The second one is Hakma. Looks like Chakma, but they pronounce it Hakma. This is the first flash of insight. Like, just think like a thunderbolt that comes in. It's like the first spark of knowing. It's like the aha, but just before the aha got formed, that one. So it's this pure pre-verbal knowing, the lightning bolt of inspiration that ignites new creation, that creates all creations in this world and other worlds. And it belongs to our intuition and revelation. So it's not logic. It hasn't formed into logic yet. And I love this because I didn't have words for this before, but I had a lot of this growing up. So this is where raw insights, it points from this top of the crown, the kether, it just points down into here. So this is coming straight from the divine why before it hits logic. And in integration and in that dimension, this is where your creativity, your flash from intuitive knowing, the seed before anything takes shape, this divine little seed. And if this is intact, you're going to experience a lot of fresh insights. You can trust sudden ideas and movements inside of you. And there is also creative aliveness in you. But if it's missing, you're going to be stuck in your patterns. There's no new directions. You're stuck inside the old template, just repeating the same day over and over again. And you will also be relying on your past. And if it's flooded, meaning there's too much light coming in, then insights are coming so fast you can't integrate it. It's just, I have so many ideas. Have you ever had that when you did medicine? You just were writing down all these ideas and, oh my God, I have 50 of the biggest aha moments in my whole life. But then the next day you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, I don't know how to integrate that. I don't actually know what that means. Overflooded. So it's like a mystical influx that you can't translate. It's like a mind race. So to be able to work with this vessel and to strengthen it, it's like we need to take a little breath and cool the spark. So imagine like just a spark of a lightning bolt goes into your system and you're like, I'm just going to cool down and breathe with this and hold it before I even put a thought into it, before I even start. I'm not going to say anything about this. I'm just going to hold it. We're going to lay the expression. We're going to give it time. So that's the second one. And as we see it, this is like a river. It's like we go from the crown, the divine why we're here, and it goes straight into the spark. And now we're going to go further down, which is when we take that spark and we turn it into understanding. Okay, so now I'm in the aha. Now I'm seeing this idea. This is where the raw understanding starts to take shape. The Bina is like a house, the structure where all of these ideas starts to take form and you can see them and you can understand them. It gives form and structure and analysis. This is also where we can get very stuck. Bina is the container that receives the spark and gives the form, and it's discernment. It's the ability to think, feel, and integrate all of the complexity. So it turns revelation into coherence, and it's described as the great mother in metaphor because it receives and it nurtures. So you see all of these symbols here in the illustrations. It's like the womb, the great mother. It's like the cup that receives the spark and it's like translated into something that we can see and hold. So when your Bina is intact, you have your concepts, your patterns, your language, your emotional lives. It's all coherent and you can reflect and you can integrate. Like you can bring it all together and you can hold this in your cup, in your hand. But if it's missing, insight just stays raw. And I hear this a lot when I'm in integration sessions. There's a lot of emotions and impressions and they're completely uncontrolled. So life, it lacks the coherence. Like it's very chaotic. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this and blah, blah. But there's no structure around it. And if this vessel is flooded, it's too much structure. And this actually happens quite a lot in the medicine world because we don't pay attention to this. But in our work, we are expanding consciousness. So what happens if you expand consciousness? We expand the cup. We get a much bigger cup. So now I can fit more light into it. That's great. So the problem that I had before, if I don't integrate or work with it, also expands. It becomes a little bit more dense. So there might be a deeper ability for us to feel the problem and the difficult emotion, and ability for us to feel more joy, more happiness, more everything, more light, because we expanded the container. But we also then, if we haven't worked with certain elements, we might also expand our ego or our mind's ability to create too much structure, too much thinking. See, if we were overthinking before we did the medicine and we didn't start working and integrating the reason why or balance it out, we might be overthinking on steroids after we've been doing medicines, because we're expanding every part of us. It's not just we're expanding just the light, we're expanding our shadow as well. And if we're not working with that shadow part of us doing plant medicines, that shadow part, if it's under pressure, creates more density, and we're expanding that density. And being unaware of that can create a lot of problems. If we look at Bina and we are flooded, we get very rigid systemization. We don't have this freshness where we can move with the waves and surf on them, because we're sitting on the beach, like planning all the details and making a budget and thinking and planning and writing down every thought that we had and how we're going to do everything. So this is where you try to overmap it before you live it. So you're thinking about how you're going to do it, but you're actually not living it. And if the life opportunity came, you might actually not be able to catch the wave, because you're so deep into the structure of your mind that you're not able to actually see it and flow with it. If we're going to make this vessel stronger, we might build frameworks, but we need to create space. So we can have reflective journaling and all of that, but we need to be able to have a space for the mystery to happen. Invite the mystery in and be like, woo, here's the feather landing my hand. And there's space for me to not analyze that, because the structure of the subconscious mind and the structure of a lot of the universe is symbolic. It's not a 10-step plan or a 5-step program or a 5-step thing. If we ever done plant medicines, every single time we are in ceremony, we're shown it in a different way. It's never the same experience, and we flow with the mystery. So we have to hold that space open for the universe all the time. If we want to strengthen this cup, leave some space for that miracle and magic to happen every day. So when you wake up in the morning, I had this one guru said to me, just say, hello, universe. I am open for this to be the most miraculous and magical day of my life. Even though it's going to be like the most mundane day where you just have to do all of your dishes, just open up to that opportunity that today I'm open for this to be the most magical, miraculous day of my life. And let the universe show you, let the universe play with you, let the universe dance with you. At least hold some space open for it to occur. The next one is Hesed, not cheese, Hesed. This is where loving kindness expansion enters the building. So imagine now we have our beautiful soul why we are in this reincarnation. It goes into the spark of this idea, and then that idea, it got the house, it got a structure to be understood, to be analyzed, to be real on a mental plane. And now into the house comes the heart, into the house comes the warmth, into the heart comes this beautiful loving energy. This is the generous, expansive energy. So Hesed is love in motion. It's the impulse to bless, to give, to expand beyond yourself. It's the warm current that connects hearts and sustains generosity. So if Bina is the house, Hesed is the warmth that fills the house. So from an integration lens, we can say it's the current of giving, relationship, warmth, expansion, and self into other. We all know this one is intact, and you give freely, you feel abundant. Your relationship, all of your relationship, they usually reflects generosity. And this is so funny, because I'm sure everyone in the group have a lot of experience with this one, because I feel so much love in this group from everyone who's in it. So you are acting from overflow and not desperation. And if this is missing, you're going to protect yourself, you're going to withdraw, you're going to have a relationship coldness, not stay away. You're going to have maybe some self-isolation, and you feel a lot of scarcity in giving. If you give, there's a lot of scarcity. And I really want to introduce this concept that I learned from Kabbalah here that I find so important. So if this part of us is it's overactive, so we overgive and our boundaries are not there, and you become a little bit like a martyr, you get exhausted. Oh my God, everyone is take everything from me. And I feel a bit of resentment because I'm giving and everyone is taking, and why people are not giving to me. It's like the light is entering and you scatter into, it's like a water fountain, right? It's just like pouring light everywhere, and you're not able to contain it and to sit with it and to hold it. This was one of my first very deep experiences with ayahuasca, when I was being flooded with this energy. of loving kindness. And I felt I had to give it away immediately. I'm like, I cannot hold it. I cannot hold it. It was like a burning coal. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I can't just stand in this energy myself. Like I have to give it to someone who needs it more than me. And it was a long process of many years, just standing in that energy and be like, okay, I'm a facilitator. I don't have to run to someone right now. I can actually stand and love this loving energy. I can just stand and hold this energy. I can stand and actually expand my ability to hold this energy without trying to give it to someone else. It's also how the celebration ritual came into creation. Because what I see is us who are a little bit too active in the generous giving, we're not sometimes so good at receiving. So medicine is usually found in its opposite. So in the celebration circle, a lot of the clients, they really want to overgive them to everyone who came to their circle and to give them 10 circles afterwards. And they actually have to sit with what they received for a week before they're allowed to go and give back. And they're not allowed to give more than the energy that they receive. They actually have to stay in the circles. They have to expand their ability to receive. So if this vessel is gone, we understand we protect ourselves. So when we say missing, let's think of it as fragmented. Maybe we experience a trauma, maybe we experience a very bad experience. So there's a reason for us to do that. And we're protecting ourselves. But a thing here that can actually hurt other people that I've learned the hard way was in a relationship where I was giving a partner, I gave him an education, an MBA, I've supported him for 3 years, I was paying, giving, overgiving. This can actually destroy someone's vessel. Because imagine if you're here and you're receiving someone's light, receiving lots of light, and then you shatter the vessel completely because you're not able to receive it. That can also hurt someone. Overgiving, if I give too much water to the plants, I can kill them. Or with my dog now, I had to take her to the hospital many times, and we found out that the problem is that I'm giving her too many treats, and this can happen. But when it comes to Kabbalah, they have a concept called bread of shame. So when Jesus gave bread to someone who was begging, and the person received the bread from Jesus, but didn't work to earn it, didn't work to feel that they deserve the light in their cup, they created a bread of shame, meaning I'm feeling shameful, so I'm shattering my glass because I didn't work to earn this. I didn't work to earn it. So I'm shattering my glass. So this is where the bread of shame concept comes from. We want to be mindful that actually over giving can destroy someone's container. For example, imagine if the shamans come to our culture and they just gave everyone ayahuasca today. From their culture, they would all be able to deal with it, but we would probably all go crazy. We need someone to help us build that container, understand it, because there's a lot of light they come with. And on the same way, the shamans, if I come to them today into a beautiful indigenous tribe in Colombia and I give them $10 million and say, go, do whatever you want, build a temple, we would burn their whole village down. They cannot hold that type of energy, right? They haven't been trained on how we're going to hold that energy. Some of their vessels might break or get inflated. So this goes both ways. So we want to be very mindful what energy we're giving, especially when we're in a facilitation energy where a part of us is giving, is providing energy, so that also people don't get addicted to that, so that they can be able to sustain their own energy field and be in their own energy field and give themselves the energy that they need. We need to be really aware of that. So we need to practice conscious generosity and learn to say, I have enough, and use giving as an expression of overflow that is grounded in self. The strength and judgment. So we can think that, okay, now we have this pure loving kindness coming in and it's in the house. Now we need the opposite here to contain that and to protect it. Because if we have just love, generosity, and there is no boundaries and respect around it and discernment around it, then that can be a little bit difficult. So this is where discipline that defines shape and law. It's where we keep love from dissolving into chaos. It teaches responsibility, focus, respect for limits. So this is like a counterpart to that lover energy. It represents restriction, discipline, power, judgment. And I think in a lot of spiritual communities, this is a little bit like, we should work a little bit here. There needs to be a structure around the light. And we should be able to speak to each other and set clear boundaries and not be all is love, all is one, all is this. Yes, and there needs to be structure. So it gives shapes to our no's and our yeses. So it's our capacity to hold the boundary, to say, okay, enough. It's our capacity to hold a disciplined structure with ourselves and others. So when it's intact, we act from clarity. We don't get too consumed in other people's stuff. We have a structure in our life. And if it's missing, we lack boundaries. We give away our power. We limp into ours. We don't have the structure we need. It's a bit of a chaos, or I'm passively not dealing with it. I met someone today who said, yeah, I haven't dealt with the tax thing and I'm just putting my head in the sand and I hope it won't go bad, but I know I have to do it or it can go really bad. This part is missing. If this is too flooded, we can have rigid perfectionism, harshness over control. A strong inflate can hit and you respond with suppression rather than containment. So if we want to expand this vessel, we want to choose a boundary that we want to maintain with kindness. Doesn't have to be too rigid. And we can treat our strength as service, not as dominance. Like we don't have to dominate people to follow our boundaries. We are able to set our boundaries in a very loving, kind way because we trust ourselves and we trust our ability to uphold that field. The symbolic cues for this is that left arm and the sword of judgment, restraint. So it's very like opposite, but still it is love, but it's love with respect. This is one of my greatest lessons from the last years, is that a lot of us are doing a lot of this healing work. We have empathy for everyone. We have so much empathy. And every single person who comes into our life will say, oh my God, I understand you. And if they say something bad to us, or they have a bad day, or they maybe steal something, or they take something, or they don't give something back, we're like, I understand, and we're going through this. And there's so much empathy, there's so much compassion, so much understanding. But if that comes first, there is literally no person with a sword protecting the heart. So what I learned the hard way is that for anyone to be in my life, I can't give you my compassion first. I can't give you my empathy first. I have to set the boundary of respect. I have a certain way of respecting myself and other people, and I demand that as for the people coming into my life. And if we both agree on that line of respect, I can give you my compassion. But you can't come and steal my things, and then I need to understand you. You need to not steal my things. And if you uphold the ways that I respect myself and respect you, then I can also give you my compassion and empathy. But I can't give you my heart before you uphold the very laws of how I need to feel safe in my relationships. So having respect coming in client relationships, in personal relationships, for me has been such a game changer. And not always be the open heart who's going to understand everyone, because people can take advantage of us. And it's our responsibility to teach people how we should be treated when we are adults, not when we're children. So if this is missing, we lack the boundaries. So it's really important that we work with this, especially in our work. And then we have the next one, which is different, which is where we feel the beauty and the harmony and the compassion that I was just speaking about, if we have a little bit too much of it. So this is where the meeting place of love and truth and mercy and justice is, where we just understand. And there is this peace for everyone, love for everyone. And it's deeply in coherence with balance. And this is where the heart can hold the contradiction of, you are a great person and I need to set boundaries with you because I see what's going on here. So in the integration lens, this is where this is your integrated heart space. It's where love meets discipline and it becomes harmonious and it becomes beautiful because these energies gets to grow. So if this is missing, you swing between indulgence and suppression. You feel fragmented with no center. And if it's intact, you show up with authenticity and you hold tension with integrity. Very important in our work. And you also have a calm that radiates. And if this is very flooded, if there's too much light in this cup, you are going to experience an emotional, like masterpiece states, like super awakened, but then not have the grounding, not be able to sleep afterwards. There's going to be a lot of idealization, very difficult word for Norwegian, where you maybe idolize someone or idolize parts of other people, and you are not able to disconnect from every day, shall we see, or disconnect from every day. And if this is a vessel that you want to make stronger, you need to anchor your energy into embodiment. So you need to let the heart and the body integrate together and practice speaking truth with compassion. And I also feel, just even looking for this image, like you can feel the energy of what I would feel and what I would try to anchor my feeling into strengthening this vessel is that the heart has respect around it and protection around it. And I'm not going to give someone my pure heart. I'm going to keep my heart here. I'm going to hold my hands like this. And I'm going to create a space here where you get to express yourself, because empathy and compassion, I can have compassion, but I'm going to keep the empathy inside of my chest. And then there's this wide, open, beautiful space where I'm going to hold space for you, but I'm not going to throw my heart into circle. I need my heart in here. And then it's safe for my heart to be with you. It's safe for my heart to listen to. It's safe for my heart to be with you. But you are going to fill that space, and I'm not going to add any judgment. It's going to be a safe space for you. And I want also you to keep your heart inside of your chest so that it's safe and it can be within your own structure. The seventh, it's netzach. It's hard for me to say this word. This is where we meet the part of us that can be there in for the long haul, right? It's like the marathon runner inside of us that can do something, but stay consistent for many years, or decades, or lifetimes. So it represents persistence, victory over obstacles, lasting power. It's a channel of the long-term drive. And it's so important, especially for like new idea. And then we look in our life and there's nothing being consistently built over the last years and decades. It's because this one is probably missing. So it's not to your capacity to start, but to finish and to complete things. This is why the celebration circle is so important, because it brings people into this energy of completion. I am complete. I am enough. And it strengthens all of these vessels. So when this is intact, you persist, results, and you stay loyal to yourself, to your vision, to your ideas, to the people you work with. But if it's missing, you start impulsively, suddenly you start something and then you drop it. Or you go, turn on the light and turn off the light. Or you lack the follow through. Or you feel drained by the long haul. You feel trapped by it. No, I need to start something new. This is not it. I need something more aligned. That's what my favorite before. I need more alignment. And if it's flooded, if there's too much light in that cup, you might feel that you have to force outcomes. It has to happen right now. You push past your own wisdom. You push past your own body. Your body needs to rest. Your body needs to go slower, but you're going to go a little bit quicker anyway. And you come obsessed with victory where you're winning it instead of staying in integrity. So this is where we can expand this vessel with committing to a long-term project. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's starting a blog where you share something every month or every week for the next 10 years. But we want to avoid compulsive urgency. You will see this a lot if you work closely with clients, that eventually their compulsive urgency is going to arise and they want you to dance with them. I have to act on this now and I don't have this. And they want you to be pulled into that energy, and you need to pull yourself back and say, again, my heart is in here. This is my space. There's a space for you. And if you want to run around in circles, if you want to rush, if you want to stress, you can do that. And I'm going to try to anchor the energy in this field together with you. But most of the clients that you will work with will eventually try to pull you into their dance of panic and delusion, sometimes anger, frustration, and so on. Or they will project that energy in you. And it's really important that if you're going to be in this work, you know that you need to stay with yourself, and also know that you can stay true to yourself in the long haul. That you're not someone who can just be like super supportive of yourself one day and then you turn off the next day. Be your own support system, create your own stable foundation, and know that some of these things can happen with clients. And a part of the work here is to just hold that field open, let them meet themselves, ground the energy. And a lot of this actually takes care of itself if we just are witnessing with love and compassion. There's so much brilliance in consciousness if we don't try to manipulate every thought and bring it together. A lot of this can take care of itself if we can just ground the energy with love. Because consciousness is the energy we get to facilitate. And if you feel yourself that this is a vessel that you need to work on, I really recommend you to do something every single day, like writing a journal, because it's such a simple act, but it can really build your own trust to yourself, building your own awareness of yourself, creating a bit of a gap between every single day that is happening, and a little gap where you get to stop and analyze and love and witness yourself, and also an ability to get a little bit away from the day and the mind and the thoughts and the emotions and the storms and the sunshine, and look a little bit down and see, okay, this is actually what I see is happening, or this has been a pattern for the last 10 years. It gives you a bit of different form of strength and capacity. And it also supports this vessel because of course, you're going to be in it for the long run when it comes to your own development, your own awareness. So that would be with any client that I would work with, it would be the most critical part is to write a journal every single day. Number 8, just a few left. So mode, hold. It rhymes on mode. So hold is the vessel of reverence. It is almost like the opposite of everything that we're speaking about now. It's the humility to receive, to listen, and to yield. It's the vessel that helps you like take a step back. And I'm just reflecting. I'm not going to act right now. It's like slowing down instead of acting right now or driving. And hold refines brilliance into grace. It represents acknowledgement, submission, and it receives the energy above. So it gives that form and those ideas and those energies and emotion, it gives it form. So this is your capacity to let in, to listen, to yield, to be shaped by something greater while you're staying within yourself. And if this is intact, you can accept feedback. You're humble, you're responsive, and you are going to allow the flow from others and from source. But if it's missing, you're going to get defensive. You're going to not be able to receive the beautiful energy around you. You're going to be stuck maybe on an ego island. You won't admit any influence. So it's very difficult to bring new energies into your energy field, and you're going to be resisting vulnerability. So you're not going to want to step into a circle and cry and share and be vulnerable with who you really are. And if this one is flooded, you're going to lose your voice, become passive, and your identity might dissolve in life rather than performing its function. So this is where we can practice the art of listening. We can invite feedback from others, like we can be in a circle and we can actually invite the feedback, maybe from retreat participants, or we can be in the celebration circle and just receive loving feedback from other people. We'll probably start seeing now the celebration circle. It's good to support all of these vessels. And then we have chesed. Chesed is the bridge between the inner world and the outer form. So this is where our ideas and our emotions and our energies consolidate into communication, sexuality, creation. I think of it almost like a bridge that is turning all of this delicious, juicy energy coming from the divine and eventually into our world. So it's like a contact point where the inner world meets the outer world, where relationship and sexuality and communication can carry higher currents. And if it's intact, you're going to be able to articulate your truth. Your relationships are going to be grounded. You're going to channel energy into form, but in a responsible way. And if it's missing, you're going to feel disconnection between what you feel and what you express, dysfunctional relationship, energy leakages, sexual or emotional chaos. And if it's flooded, you might have ecstatic connection with the divine, but poor integration. So you channel so many high states of consciousness, but your foundation cracks. You're not showing up on meeting on time. There's always a catastrophe or a process going on internally. You have all of these amazing ideas of what you're going to do in your life, but you're not able to take the first step. You're going to write 5 books, 10 books. You're going to start a big company, or you're going to create a retreat center in Costa Rica, but you're not able to answer an email, show up on time, to bring all of that delicious energy into form, into structure. You're not able to carry that responsibility. So when we're working with this vessel, we need to ground in our body, and we need to align our speech with what we do, with our emotion and action. And we need to really do that before we express and project anything. So when I work with clients where I feel, okay, this is definitely missing, or there's challenges here, I will ask them to stop promising anything, because usually they will come in running. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to deliver this, and I'm going to do this, and all in 1 week. And I would say, stop. Please don't do any more medicines. Let's just agree on one thing. And I want them to agree with themselves. One thing that they can do that is just a micro thing, because we need to build up that energy field of integrity that I speak of in this week, in the other lesson. And the smallest act where you speak to yourself of truth and you perform it, you turn it into action, you're starting to alchemize that energy. You're starting to bring all of that alignment and beautiful energy into action. So you're alchemizing it and you're creating inner truth and inner trust to yourself. Because you can think of it a little bit like this. If you meet a spiritual friend and that spiritual friend says to you, do you want to go to the gym tomorrow with me? There's this amazing yoga class. And you say, yeah, of course. And they talk about it. It's incredible. It will change your life. It's so amazing. And I love it. And it's just when sunrise comes. And I can't wait to be there with you and you can meet this teacher. And then you show up for the gym, 7 a.m, sunrise is there, and your friend is missing. And they text you like, oh my God, I overslept. I'm so sorry. I have this process. There was so much going on. And I did mushroom and I saw Jesus and all of this stuff. And next day, you say, okay, we're going to meet up the next day. And at 7 o'clock, you're there. And they're not there. And you think, this is weird. 2 days on a row. The third day, they show up, but they're 15 minutes later. I'm so sorry. They won't let us in now. Maybe we can go for a walk instead. Eventually, you will not trust that friend. And you will probably just go to that class yourself. And this is very important. This is how many of us have created relationships with ourselves. We have these big ideas for ourselves and we wake up in the morning or we meditate or we go on the beach. And then we're not able to take the most practical step within that alignment, practical step within that flow, within a current. So do a little inventory for yourself and make sure that you're not promising yourself too much and then eventually not honoring that. Because at the end of the day, within you, there will be a lack of trust to your own works. And I think that might be the most challenging reality that we can create internally. The last one is the Malkut. The Malkut is the vessel of sovereignty, where spirit becomes form. This is where we're manifesting. This is our inner kingdom and outer kingdom. This is where all the higher impulses, all of them come through us and it becomes form and action and reality. This is your embodied authority. It's where your life is an expression of spirituality, a stewardship of the world. And if this is intact, you live purposefully and you avoid, and your inner and outer world, they align. So there's no friction. There's no these worlds fighting each other. And what you do, it produces beautiful fruits because you're planting all of these seeds from the divine and they are growing. Your garden is full of fruits. And you have this inner sovereignty and you trust yourself. You trust your word. You know that when you have these ideas, you bring them into the world, you plant them and they grow. When this is missing, you remain in a possibility and you avoid your responsibility. I find this so fascinating. Like every time I'm in any type of project, everyone wants to join. Nobody wants to do anything that has to do with being responsible for it. Nobody wants to stay with the responsibility for the container, but everyone would love to come and drink from the cup. So this is where you want to take a look at yourself and see, where do I take responsibility? And if there is a radical responsibility in my life, if every relationship and every thought and everything that is happening in my life, I take full radical responsibility for it, then, and I'm no longer going to go into this, I feel powerless, because that's the sign. If this vessel is missing, you feel powerless. You have all these ideas, but you have no form and your life is unreal or abstract. Like you don't feel that you're able to even put into words what you're experiencing. I think it's really important that any one of us, we look at where can I take full and 100% radical responsibility, at least maybe for my own thoughts, or how I speak to myself, or what I promise myself, and start there and work my way out. And not maybe start, I'm going to build this big company if I'm not able to even get up at 7 to go to the gym to do the yoga class that I promised myself. So if this vessel is flooded, there's too much light coming in, then you might dominate, you might manifest without the heart. So you might get what you want, but not what you need. You might get very rigid in power. You might bypass the heart and produce without any form of soul. And you might be consumed by status rather than service. Not very relevant for our class. But this is where we can support this vessel, where we go into service, where we complete a project, and where we let inner alignment meet outer action. So right today, you can think of a project that you haven't completed, and you can say, okay, what is the first step in completing that? Or something simple. Sorry, there's a big storm outside my window. I'm just making sure nothing is blowing to the into the window here, you can look at yourself and you can ask yourself, what is one action that I can take today? And what happens if any of these keys that they call them, or these vessels, are missing? We might, right, spill the cup, too much light. So one little drop, we spill over the cup. The light is overwhelming you and you literally collapse. We might corrupt it. We might distort the light to match the damaged vessel. I've seen this a lot in my industry because we can have clients and suddenly make lots of money. I had a client once that suddenly went from making almost nothing to $1 million a year. And then they would start corrupting that money. They would start putting the money in the wrong hands. They would get frauded. Like that money would eventually turn into the energy of the distorted, damaged vessel, of the cracks in the vessel that was looking for healing. And we might bypass. So we might disconnect from earthly task and live in a spiritual fantasy. This has been my favorite over the last ayahuasca years. So safe to live in a fantasy world where my art is completed, where my book is completed, and where no one can actually say anything bad about it. Like I get to keep the sacred somewhere nobody can hurt it. We all have different vessels that we need to work on, or different structures, different currents, different traits, and I hope some of them are helpful for you also on your journey right now. And one of the rituals that I mentioned that I find really important is to do one thing every single day that goes towards your own awareness, your own expression, and you keeping a ritual with staying true to yourself every single day, promising yourself one thing every day that you can stay consistent with. So I ask my clients to send a daily video to me to express themselves and their words, and also to share a daily journal, because it works on so many of these different elements and it ties together into their own awareness so that they can expand. You can also in the evening write one sentence that names something you're grateful for, a boundary that you held. You can speak out if you're alone or with your partner. You can speak out some of these elements of the day that were important for you. And you can also reflect on your daily achievements and your boundaries, because this can really support your integration. As a facilitator, it's really important when we see people distorting or going into spiritual bypassing, getting too much light into the system and not able to integrate it or not wanting to integrate it, that we as facilitators are very clear. We have to require integration before ceremonies, after ceremonies, and also refuse to sell to participants that are looking for the next high and not wanting to do the inner work of all of them. Ayahuasca always gives homework. Many of these plants, they give homework, that we are aware of what they are and that we're not adding lots more homework before we have looked at and worked through the things that are already there. It's also important that we see our students and clients and participants at retreats as someone who's going to mirror our own behavior. So we can set a strong example here, and we already are, right? We're in an integration group together, but the importance of doing this work, like we can walk that path and we can share from the path that we are doing our own integration work, because that models to everyone else how that is actually done, and we learn from that experience. And it's also important that we make sure everyone build their own solid foundation, because you can't outrun your slowest moving part, like Sati was saying, and we can't climb higher until the lowest rung of daily life is solid under our feet. So it's very important that we are clear with everyone that we're working on, that we are working on the foundation, so that when they go into a month ceremony or when they go into a 3-day ceremony, that they're properly prepared and we can see that they have the capacity and the spaciousness to hold bigger doses of light that's going to come through their system. And also a way we can work with them is to also, at the completion of this work, do a celebration circle. So they're being witnessed. We're celebrating their completion so that they also feel that there is a way to mirror back every part of who they are, and they feel also complete with themselves and their process. It might be the first time someone actually feels enough in their life, and it's beautiful to hold that space for someone to realize that. So if you want to work on these vessels, an easy way of starting that work is to ask yourself, what is one project that you will complete within 7 days? What is one project you will complete today? What is a big project that you want to start doing as a micro win every day? What is a boundary that you want to declare or share with us maybe? What is a boundary that's been like sitting there and you haven't fully declared it? Or what is an earthly metric that you want to track? Maybe you want to track how much you're running or how much you're spending. And we really want to make sure that anyone who is coming on our journey, that they're not wondering just to experience visions and insights, but that they're building their temple through paid influence invoices and honest conversations. There's this one meme I saw that said, everyone wants to do ayahuasca, nobody wants to pay the bills or do the dishes. It's important that we let the mundane also be a part of the mystery and the magic, and that we're not separating it, because we're separating the inner and the outer world. Thank you so much. I hope this little lens into Kabbalah integration was interesting. Every week I'm going to add another part of these things that I think is important we're aware of in spiritual integration, like our spiritual ego, the dark night of the soul, and so on. And this first week was what happens if we add too much light to the cup through the lens of Kabbalah. I hope that was helpful. Have a beautiful day, my friend.